Hey guys, I hope that you're all doing so well today. I'm doing good, but I will say I am on a bit of a Disney hangover. I just got back from Disney 2 days ago and it is just kind of, it's sad when you come home and I forget how bad that feeling of not being there is because I haven't been there in so long. But we had such a fantastic trip. I wanted to come on here and share with you guys some stuff that we did and some of my thoughts since I haven't been down there in such a long time. Things have changed so much. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you like Disney things. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Let's go talk about Disney World. Okay, so we stayed at the Animal Kingdom Lodge, which was so incredible. I've never stayed at a deluxe resort before. Every time that I've been down there, let's see if I can remember. I think the first time we went down there, we stayed off property. That was when I was young. I was like 5 years old. I barely remember it. The next time we went down there, I believe that we stayed at Dixie Landings. Then the next time we stayed down there, we stayed at the Swan or the Dolphin. I think we stayed at the Swan. And then the next 2 times that I went down there were school trips. So we stayed at the All-Star, I think, Sports. We booked our trip in September, and at the time there were no discounts or anything that were available for the time period that we were going. But our AAA person, travel agent, said to just keep an eye on the website, keep an eye on the promotions that were going on, and if there were any that we could apply to our trip, we can, she can call Disney and see if that would be something that we could do. So I did keep an eye on everything on the website, all of the promotions, and we did end up finding a promotion. I think it was like a Fun in the Sun promotion or something. And while we could have just stayed in like the normal rate that we had and saved a ton of money on the trip, we decided to upgrade to have club level access for our room. So we had a Savannah View room with club level access, and we still saved $300 off of what our trip was supposed to cost us. So, I mean, it was kind of a win. And to just be like, oh yes, we're going to have club level access was just kind of fantastic. Like, I've never had that before. So I was super excited for that. And when we pulled up to the hotel on the Magical Express, we were walking up to the door and this woman comes over and said, are you Katie? And well, they said, of course, welcome home and Jumbo and everything, which was so nice. We were staying in the Jumbo house. So there's the Jumbo house and then the Kidani Village, which is all on the same Animal Kingdom Lodge property, but just 2 separate buildings. So we were staying in the Jumbo house. And yeah, so she came up and was like, oh, are you Katie? And I said, yes. And so then she said, follow me. And I was just like, how did you know who I am? And like, I'm pretty sure they can track our magic bands. So I guess that's how they knew. But I was still just like, what is happening right now? So she took us up to the club level, which was the Kilimanjaro Club, which is on the sixth floor, and is pretty much all the rooms on that floor, I think, are DVC rooms. But we went up there and the club level concierge was so wonderful. They were very, very, very nice. We had one woman, Angelique, who was especially helpful, and we were all about doing the cast member or the cast compliments on Twitter the entire trip. And she definitely got one because she was so welcoming and so great and was so helpful the entire time. Remembered who we were every time we walked up there when she was up there. So then our room actually was ready, and so we went down there and it was just incredible. The view from our balcony was amazing, and I think even at the time that we went out, there were giraffes that were out on the savannah and a ton of other different animals, and it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is where we're spending the next 6 days. Like, it was mind-boggling, and I loved the room. Actually, the whole hotel was really cool. The lace curtain on the balcony doors had hidden like Nalas and Simbas and Timon and Pumbaa and Zazu and Mufasa, like all these characters from The Lion King, but mixed in with other like real animals and stuff, which was so cool. Like the detail was amazing. I did have a fast pass for us for I think $12.35 or something, but we did end up deciding to just stay at the hotel. I knew that we were going to be doing Magic Kingdom that day and that we were going to watch the Festival of Fantasy parade. So we just decided to kind of lay low a little bit at the hotel, walk around, look at the savannas, grab some lunch, and then head over. Well, unfortunately, my mom came down with a terrible bout of food poisoning. It affected her entire trip. Like, she had to really be careful about what she was eating. She got sick a couple other times, which I just felt so bad about. But luckily, she has been in contact with the Dunkin' Donuts that we went to, and she has spoken to people and sent her story along. So hopefully there's some sort of resolution. Aunt and I decided to head over to Magic Kingdom probably around 2 o'clock, and we were like, we'll just grab a seat on Main Street. If you can make it over for the parade, awesome. If not, then, you know, make it over whenever you can. So we got to Main Street. We were able to snag a seat on Main Street, right on the corner where they come down and then they go around the flag in front of the train station. So we were able to snag that spot. It was an awesome spot. And then I also didn't take into account the fact that the parade does not actually start there. It starts in Frontierland. So, you know, we got there, and then I don't think the parade actually came until around 3:15 to 3:30, somewhere in that area. So we were baking a little bit out in the sun. It was it was rough, but I love that Festival of Fantasy parade. Is spectacular. It's so beautiful. That Maleficent dragon, I mean, I'd seen pictures of it, I'd seen videos of it, but until you see it in person, it's just amazing. I kind of wish that that parade was at night, because I would love to see what that float looks like at night. She's just so beautiful. I liked everything about that parade. I think it's a great parade. I knew that I wanted to go and grab a pair of ears. I had been hoping and hoping and hoping that I would be able to get the rose gold ears. So we ducked off of Main Street and went into some of the stores, and then eventually made it over across the street into the Emporium, where we were able to get my rose gold ears. So I was very happy about that. And then since we were walking toward the castle through the Emporium, we ended up in Casey Jr.'s, I don't remember what that restaurant was called down at the end, but I had seen that they were going to have the lemonade mint julep slushie there. It's a non-alcoholic drink, but it does have frozen lemonade with mojito syrup to flavor, and then it is garnished with mint leaf and a cherry and something else, and there's a Mickey straw. And oh my gosh, I have been wanting to try that. I'm not even a big lemonade fan all that much, but that just sounded so good to me, so I was excited to pop in there, and oh my gosh, it was so good. It's a huge drink, and it's incredibly sweet. I think I maybe only drank like a quarter of it maybe before throwing it out. By the time we got that, and then we sat down for a little bit, my mom had texted me saying that she was on her way, so she managed to get there around 5 o'clock, which was great because we had fast passes for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train at 5:25 or 4:25 to 5:25. So I was like, we have to go. So we went, and that was our first ride, and it was the first time that I've been on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and I absolutely loved it. Again, there's so many of these rides that I have watched ride-through videos of. I've seen lots of stuff about them, but until you're actually there and you're experiencing it yourself, you don't really have an appreciation for it. So I loved, of course, the mine scene, and the animatronics are just beautiful. The projection works perfectly. I just love that so much. And then the end, when you're going by the cottage with the Wicked Witch outside, or the Evil Queen, I guess, into the Wicked Witch, whatever, with the Evil Queen outside. I mean, it was so cool. So after that, we had a fast pass for the Haunted Mansion. We had a little bit of time left between, you know, when that was going to come up. So we ended up as we were walking to the Haunted Mansion, we passed Voyage of the Little Mermaid. No. Is it Voyage of the Little Mermaid? No, that's the show. Whatever the Little Mermaid ride is in Magic Kingdom. We passed by that. The wait was only like 20 minutes. So we popped in line for that, and that was cute. I mean, it wasn't spectacular by any means. And then we walked over to Haunted Mansion, which I think of all of the rides that we were going to be going on I was the most excited for this one, because I rode that ride back when we first went, and I was like 5 years old, and I just remember bawling my eyes out the entire time because I was so scared of this ride. And I don't remember riding it again since then. I may have. I honestly don't remember. So, you know, being involved a little bit more, I guess, in Disney now, listening to podcasts that explain a lot of the stories behind different rides and different lands and stuff, I knew some of the backstory along with this ride, so I was a lot more excited to ride it this time through, and I totally get it now. Like, I fully appreciate why people love it so much. It's a fantastic ride, it really is, and I love the whole bit, you know, the mystery of, oh, is the bride pushing you out the window and killing you? Are you jumping out the window? Is there anything like that even happening? I like to believe that she pushes you out the window. I like that theory a lot. And, you know, yeah, it's really an incredible ride. I really appreciate it now that I'm older. And while I may still be a scaredy cat, I can do stuff now. I can suck it up and do stuff, and that was such a fun ride. I really enjoyed it. So then the last ride that we went on that night was Jungle Cruise. We had a fast pass for that, and we had an awesome skipper. I love awful jokes. I love puns. I love corny jokes. I love all of that stuff. So that ride for me is just like heaven. It's wonderful. So we had a blast on that ride. I loved our skipper so much. We sat right next to her. I laughed at everything she said. And I'm sure she probably appreciated it, because a lot of people don't laugh at anything because they just don't understand what they're getting themselves into. So I knew very well what we were getting into, and I loved the crap out of it. So after that, we made a beeline for Main Street because we wanted to get good spots for Happily Ever After. I loved that show. This was one thing that I did not watch any spoilers for. I did not want to see any pictures from it. I didn't want to see any videos from it. I didn't want to see anything from it. Like, I had heard people talk about it, and that was the extent of it. I didn't want to know much about it at all. And I really liked this show. I liked that they put a lot of characters that you don't see a lot in Disney World being represented. I loved the whole part with Quasimodo. Like, that touched my heart. I loved it. I don't fully remember a lot about it. Like I said, the one thing that really sticks out to me is the Quasimodo. But I'm definitely, now that I've seen it, I will be watching it on YouTube over and over again. Just went back to the hotel, and yeah, I think we just kind of all hit the hay. We actually had bunk beds in our room, which was kind of fun. So my mom, we all got our own beds. I slept on the top bunk, which was fun. So yeah, it was good. So then day 2 was my aunt's birthday. So I had kind of planned everything on that day around her and her birthday and the things that she was most excited for at the parks. We ended up going to Epcot in the morning. We did the Royal Tea Garden tour. Oh, and by the way, also, with our club level access, we were able to get a continental breakfast every morning. For the most part, they had a lot of the same stuff every morning, but they did switch up some other things, some of the pastries and such, but everything was pretty much from the Boma breakfast buffet, which I learned on Tuesday when we went to the Boma breakfast buffet, and they had a lot of the same stuff, but obviously a lot more. So we woke up and grabbed a quick breakfast because we were heading over to Epcot for the Royal Tea Tour. Royal Tea Garden Tour? Royal Tea Tour? I can't remember what it is, but it's obviously in the UK Pavilion in Epcot. And it is not an expensive tour by any means. I think it was $18 or $19 per person. And it is a 45-minute tour of the little tea garden that they have set up there, which I think they have 2 other tours throughout the day that are free that you can walk through. And I don't know if it's the exact same tour or if it's a different tour. I don't know. But what really sold me on it was that after the tour, we got to go back to Rose and Crown, I think is the restaurant there, and have free scones and tea samplings, and that was the bomb. Do people say that anymore? Probably not, but it was. So we got to have 2 different kinds of scones. One was cheese, and the other one I think was like some sort of fruit and nut, maybe. I'll post a picture of it. I have like the breakdown of everything that the scones were. We had a bunch of different Twinings tea bags set out that we were able to try, and we ended up getting a little sample packet to take home with us from some of the different teas that we had, or that they spoke about on the tour rather. We decided to do the opposite side of the pavilion that day because we had fast passes for Frozen, so we had to do that side of the pavilion. And so we started in Mexico, which I will say I appreciated the Epcot as a whole and the World Showcase so much more on this trip than I ever have before. I don't ever really recall spending a ton of time there, and I really enjoyed spending the time that we did there, and I'm glad that we broke it up into 2 days so we were fully able to appreciate the entire World Showcase. Started in Mexico. We rode the Grand Fiesta Tour, which I don't recall ever riding before. Honestly, I don't recall ever actually going into the Mexico Pavilion, like under the pyramid thing. And it's really, really beautiful. So we breezed through there, and then Norway is next. So we went over to Norway, and there was only a 20-minute wait to meet Anna and Elsa in their summer house, and I was like, heck yes, we are going to meet Anna and Elsa in their summer house for sure. So we did go in there, and I think that was my first character experience, was meeting Anna and Elsa, which was fantastic. I had a glittery backpack that I was wearing, and so Elsa, who you meet first, said that she enjoyed my ice magic, and then she was teaching me how to do some magic myself and all of that stuff, which was wonderful. And then Anna, when I went over to her, said that she liked the idea of having ice magic on my backpack because then you could put all of your chocolate in there and it would never melt, which we then went into a discussion about chocolate, which I am down for every day of the week. If anyone ever wants to talk to me about chocolate, I am game. So we met them, I met them, and my aunt and my mom just stood there and watched. But it was wonderful. I had so much fun meeting them. And then after that, we actually went into, I can't remember the name of that church, but the museum that they have that's based off of a real church in Norway. They had just recently opened the museum that showcased the mythology behind Loki, Thor, Odin, and it's not Farah. I can't remember what the name of his mom is, which is terrible. But it showcased the mythology behind them so you can learn a little bit more. But then right after that, we went over to the Frozen ride, and we had a fast pass for it, which was, again, wonderful. I really enjoyed that ride. I thought it was really fun. I got soaking wet. I was sitting on the end, and when, I guess, must have been when we went backwards down, oh man, did I get soaked. My entire one side of my body was just completely drenched, and my mom and my aunt were not wet at all, which was fine. It was great. But I just think that again, the animatronics in there are so cute. I just wanted to go up and hug Olaf and hug Sven forever and ever and ever. We got to the America Pavilion, and ended up getting there just in time for the Voices of Liberty to perform, who were amazing. They sang a song about me, which was nice. And they were just incredible. And then we saw the American Adventure show. Yeah, American Adventure. And that was the first time that I had ever seen that as well. And it just made me feel like, yeah, America. Like, I was very excited after leaving that show and very like pumped and like ready to go conquer the world and my dreams and everything. So that was wonderful. So after that, we decided to make our way back up toward the front of the park because we needed to get back to the hotel a little early so that we could change and go out to dinner. We got back to the hotel, we went upstairs and got a couple snacks. They did have, I think maybe we got into like the tea time where they were serving tea, and oh, we did, because they had scones and the scones were so good. Oh my gosh, I have never had so many scones in one day in my entire life, but I'm not mad about it by any stretch of the imagination. So we did have scones and they were delightful. And oh, Rice Krispie treats too. And oh, they were like just these tiny little balls of Rice Krispie treats with like sprinkles and frosting on top, and they were so good. So then we went up to our room, we all got changed. We were going to Ohana at the Polynesian. I was so excited to be able to get a reservation for us. And in my mind, I was like, we're gonna have all this time. We can go and take a bus over to the Magic Kingdom, and then from there we can take the ferry over to the Polynesian, and it'll be really pretty and relaxing and fun. And that did not happen. By the time we were all ready, it was already 5 o'clock. Our reservations were at 5:35, and so I was like, girl, we're getting a minivan. If you are not familiar with the minivans, they are so cute. I love the minivans so much. Every time I saw one driving around, it just made me so happy. And they are operated through the Lyft app. So you just download the Lyft app and then you request a driver. And so that was the first time we had done the minivan, and we could not have gotten a better driver that day. His name was Dave. He was so much fun, so personable, so cool. He had been with Disney for, I think he said, 9 years. So he had done so many different things, and he had so many interesting stories, and he was just an absolute joy to travel with. Even when we got into the car, he put on Polynesian music so that we could get into the mood of Polynesian Village, and it was just so, so fun. We laughed so much. We had great conversation. It was just a ton of fun. So if you are down there, well, I will say not all minivan experiences are created equally, because we did end up taking it again. And the guy, I mean, he did his job definitely, which we'll talk about, but he was not Dave. He was not as personable as Dave, which is fine. But yeah, it was, that ride in particular was a ton of fun. So we made it over to the Polynesian with plenty of time before our reservation, and I had never been in the Polynesian before, and now I'm like, this is where I want to stay next. This resort is so beautiful. It's just, you walk in there and it's just stunning. It's just stunning. I love that resort so much. So the next time we go, I feel like I've been spoiled, and now this is like, I need to stay in all the deluxe resorts. I just do. So we went up and, you know, checked in for our reservation, did not have to wait very long at all, and we got this table off, like, we weren't in like the main seating area. We were kind of, I guess, behind like the kitchen area, behind the grill, but we had a perfect view of the castle, which was just like, I can see the castle from my table. This is incredible. So that was wonderful. And then the food. The food was so good. Start to finish, absolutely incredible. I had heard good things, but again, I didn't really know what to expect, but it was so delicious. Everything was amazing. I could have eaten loaf after loaf after loaf of that bread. It was so fresh and so yummy, and just everything. That whole big platter that comes out with all of the accompaniments, I guess they call them. The noodles were so good. The veggies were delicious. The dumplings. The dumplings, I did go back for seconds on that. I think that was like, outside of the vegetables, which I kept munching on, the veggie, or the dumplings, I kept going back for because they were so good. I think my favorite of the meats that you get was probably the steak. That was so delicious, but the winner of the entire meal is that banana bread pudding, or banana bread, whatever it is. Oh my God, it was so good. And everyone like tells you how good it is, but until you taste it, oh my God, if I could just go there and just sit down and pay whatever amount we paid for that meal and just be like, just bring me the bread and bring me the dessert, and that's all I need, I would be happy. I would do that day after day after day. It was so, so delicious. Oh my gosh, I loved it so much. And we all got fancy drinks. And again, since I don't drink, I got the non-alcoholic mojito, and that was good. I think it was just called like the no-hito. And then once we were done with our dinner, we popped into a couple of the shops, and then in the second shop that we went to, we encountered another wonderful cast member. I believe his name was Nate. We did give him a cast compliment on Twitter because he was so sweet. We were talking a lot. We told him we were headed over to Hollywood Studios to watch the Star Wars show, and he said that, we asked him if he had any suggestions, so he told us where to stand, which ended up being great viewing for us. And yeah, so that was the Polynesian. And then from the Polynesian, we walked over to the Grand Floridian just to kind of get our digestion going and try to burn off some of what we ate at dinner. And again, first time I ever went to the Grand Floridian, and they had the wedding pavilion open. I don't know if that is something that happens all the time, but we definitely wandered in there. I got my picture under the arch, and it was just so pretty. The doors with the Cinderella carriage on it are just stunning. I mean, that place is really, really, really beautiful. And then, yeah, we went into the Grand Floridian and sat in the lobby for a little bit. I love that vibe. It's just so pretty. So yeah, from the Grand Floridian, we took a bus over to Hollywood Studios, made it over there with plenty of time left to watch the Star Wars A Galactic Spectacular show, but we did make it in time to see the Movie Magic show before that, which I really enjoyed. I loved the story, with Walt, how they intertwined him into it was very nice. And then, oh my God, the Star Wars show was so cool. That was another one. I had watched it before. I watched it on YouTube, and I enjoyed it. But again, seeing it there when the fire fires, like the heat that you feel from it. Oh my gosh, it was such a good show, and I just love like the switches that they made, like between the good guys and the bad guys and the good guys and the bad guys, and like the red, and oh my gosh, it was just such a fun show. It was really, really, really enjoyable, and I liked it a lot.